Beep. All right. Welcome to part 3 of OGMO Editor tutorial. Should we do it again? Okay. Okay. Uh, so this episode or this part, we're going to talk about. Really, I don't know. I really care about this font. This one we're going to talk about. Let's talk about objects. So OGMO calls objects entities. This is a bit fancy, if you ask me, but whatevs. Okay, so an object is like, it's like this guy here. It's like, like our little hero. It could be like a treasure chest. It could be like, anything that that we want to put in our level that eventually is going to have some kind of, some kind of behavior. Excuse me while I take a drink of water. Oh my gosh, I probably should have muted the mic then. Okay, so we already talked about our level. It's going to have a few objects, so let's draw them in. It's going to have a sea serpent. Whoa. Okay. This is probably not going to be the right size. It's also going to have a treasure chest. Remember, we were talking about the treasure. Whoa. I wouldn't even want to open that treasure chest. That's how ugly it is. Okay. And it's going to have a, it's going to have the hero. Okay. Let's call her Princess Damalot. Okay. This is Princess Damalot. She's like that. I think we'll do pants. A little more practical. And Princess Damalot's got killer sword here. And you're like, dude, this can't be how you make games. It can't be like this. Is it actually? Is this what you do? You get paid to do this. Pretty much is that. Okay, Princess Damalot. She's got it. Oh, she's got it going on. She's got good attitude. She's gonna get in there, get that treasure. Probably just avoid the sea serpent. Okay. The first thing we should probably think about is, how big are these guys gonna be on our level? Okay, it's a basic sort of thing. So if you just, this is sort of a one-to-one right now. I haven't zoomed this image in. If Princess Damalot is like this big, she's gonna be like this big in a level. Okay, this is not really what we want. Like, it's, do what you want, but I think that's wrong. So let's make her smaller. Okay, so I'm just gonna take, by the way, this is GIMP. This is like an image editor. That's a whole other tutorial series. Point is, I'm just showing you guys how I do the graphics, like in a typical kind of scenario as well. Oh my gosh, really? Tool option. I don't use this computer for very much game development, so my tools aren't set up right. Yeah, so I just want to show you, like, how you actually just put the graphics in, and so there's no kind of missing steps from like, oh yeah, then you just import your graphics, right? And then you're like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean import my graphics? You haven't explained what you mean. Well, this is sort of the process could be. So for me, I want Princess Damalot to be smaller. So I'm gonna just shrink her in my graphics editing tool. You could use magic if you have magic. And I'm just gonna kind of reference it back to what I think is about right. You'll see that the Alt Tab doesn't work properly with OGMO. Pardon me. Alt Tab works fabulously with OGMO. It doesn't work with GIMP. That's okay. What do you think, you guys? You think that's about the right size? Oh my gosh, I'm not used to all tapping on windows. I think she'll be just a little taller than 2 bricks. And that's about right to me. I kind of imagine, you know, she's about that big. So let's do it. So again, this is all just in my image editor. This isn't really part of OGMO, but I'm just showing you how this goes. Okay, so Princess Damalot. No, that's slightly too small. Sorry, guys. I'm the princess, and I'm here to say I like fruity pebbles in a major way. Yabba dabba doo, yabba dabba. What? Oh shoot. I have used a computer before. Okay, there. That to me, just referencing these to each other, looks about right. And I know there's all kinds of unanswered questions, like how do you program Princess Damalot? How much damage does her sword do? I don't know. Okay, so just like that, boom. I'm pasting it as a new image. Okay, I'm making her face to the right because that is just my, I guess my Latin-centric left to rightness coming out. And what we're gonna do is I am gonna give her an alpha mask. If you don't use GIMP and you're wondering, is GIMP fabulous? It's pretty good. You can do anything that you want to do. We need to save this as an image, and you're going to save it as a ping file because OGMO likes ping files, images. So we're just making a little folder here under OGMO for images, and we're going to call this princess01 east.png. Actually, no, we're calling this differently. Okay, princess01 icon.png. Okay, so you're saying to me, what? Why do you name it like that? Well, here's the thing. You're gonna go later on, and you're gonna make your game, and you're gonna add like 573 frames of animation for Princess Damalot, right? 75 frame walking animation and the 500 frames, 5 different attacks, right? And you're going to have her facing all different directions and injured and dead and wearing different armor. Who knows? Or maybe you just have this one. You don't know at this point. But you have to give an image to OGMO, which OGMO is going to use whenever it needs to show where Princess Damalot will say start on a particular level. And so what you don't want to do is use the same graphics that you're using for your game for editing levels, because then if you change them for your game, you might open your level and it might look kind of weird. So I create a sort of a variation of whatever I'm drawing. I create one called the icon, okay? And that never changes, and once you draw it, you really don't ever have to think about it. You might want it to look more or less like what the actual final graphics will look like. It might give you a better idea of what your level is going to actually look like visually, but at any rate, there's sort of the two things. There's the icons, which you use to just show where things are in the level, and there's the actual graphics for the game, which could be anything. Some people don't even, excuse me, I'm just stretching here. Some people don't even draw anything. They just use like a square. I like to draw it because it's easier to see what's going on. So anyhow, so we want to put Princess Damalot here, but the problem is, well, where do we put her? Like, there's no like option to put her, and that's not surprising because it's sort of this random thing that OGMO doesn't know about. So we're going to go back to the project editor, and objects have to go on their own layer. And you can have more than one layer for objects. You could have a layer that's just enemies and a layer that's just treasure. And you could have a layer that's just coins. Like, you could do it however you want. I prefer to have just one layer for objects, and I call it objects. It works for me. We're coming now to the grid. Remember our previous ones were 20 by 20? We're going to make this one 10 by 10, and that's how I do it. That's what I tend to do, and I'll show you why in a second. And it's one of the cool things about OGMO is all the grids don't have to be the same size, which I think I talked about for about 8.5 minutes in the first video. Okay, so you're going to choose entities. Entities are objects, and look at that. That's all you have to do. You just tell it. I've got a grid. It's 10 by 10. It's called objects, and it's an entity type of grid. So you go over now, click over to entities. Entities is like going to be a big giant list of all the sort of objects you could put into any level. It's going to turn into a really long list, and maybe one day there'll be a hierarchical organization for it. I don't think that's really necessary. You know, I think if you're making a game and you've got 50 objects, that's probably linked to the past. Like that's probably already a really big game, and I think 50 types of objects to scroll through is not really onerous. So this is just going to be populating this box here is going to end up as one big long list of objects. So if you have coins, there's going to be one that's called coin. We're going to create princess. Okay. I'm doing it in caps. It's not actually what I normally do, but I think it's kind of funny. So we're going to go back and we're going to say, how big is Princess Damalot? She's 49 by 64 pixels. Okay. We've drawn her that way. Let's just like make it 50. 50 by 64 makes a little more sense. Origin. Okay. So what's an origin? The best way to think of where an origin is okay, where is the feet? Or where does this object touch the ground? All right. In the case of Princess Damalot, her feet are right there, and I am reading it. If you sort of look at the very bottom of the screen there, you can see it says 2154. Now it says 2156. I'm talking about right down here by my clock. So I'm going to call it 2154. 2154 is her origin. I'll show you why we put an origin in. Graphic type. Again, you don't actually have to draw these things out, but I think it's better if you do. So pick image file, go again to our folders here, princess one icon, and make sure to pick the icon image, and then you just click apply. Voila. Okay, now you'll notice, look. Okay, first of all, OGMO's given us a new level. We don't want to start a new level, we want to go look at our old level again. But now look on the layers, you've got walls, yeah, water, yeah, had those before. Objects, and that is an entity layer, and it's called objects, and this little thing here is telling you what it is, and you can see there's even a little stick figure with an arrow to give you an idea that this is for characters and stuff. So when you click on object layer, it gives you this entities panel, and you can therefore choose which entity you want. Since we only have one, it only shows one. So let's put Princess Damalot here. Okay, awesome. So there she is. So now we're going to take a look and we're going to say, does that look about right? Is that about the size we kind of imagined? I know this isn't a real game. It's probably really irritating, but I think that it looks wrong. I think that she's too big. So I want her to still be a little smaller. So we'll just save this level for now. No worries. And I'm just going to come back here, and I'm going to scale this down. See what happens if it's 40 by 50. Just do it 40 by 50. How's that? Okay. Doesn't seem much different. It's a little smaller. Oh gosh. Okay, now this is actually a good opportunity to show you one little glitch. When I go to save this, it says it can't save it. Permission is denied. That is actually a small issue with OGMO. Somehow it keeps a file handle open in Windows. So we're going to actually have to exit OGMO completely. And you're like, oh my gosh, dude, that sucks. Does it really? I don't know. In practice, it's not really that big of a deal. But it slightly sucks, and I should probably report it as a bug. So we're just going to fire it up again. You can check out all my files that are there. Whoa, what are all these files? Is there anything embarrassing? Probably. You could pause the video, have a look at it. I don't know. It gives you what games I'm playing. Sort of. Not really. Okay, whatever. So we're open the OGMO. You can see recent projects. Yep, we're gonna click Halloween. I don't know. And then again, it gives you a new level. And now we're gonna open. We wanna close it and then open our level. There's Princess Damalot, but she's the same size. Why is she the same size? I thought we changed the sprite. Yeah, we changed the sprite alright, but we didn't change how big she was in here. Remember? 50 by 64, now she's 40 by 50. So we need to change it in here. You could actually get away with not changing the sprite. You could just leave it and OGMO would, I think, scale it down. But, okay, so we'll say 18 and 40 is the new origin. But I like to, you know, I like to be precise. When I'm not making a gigantic mess of my life, I like to have things be precise. Okay, so there is, beautiful, there's Princess Damalot. Now you'll notice, when I click on my object layer, the grid here changes. It changes from a fat sort of grid to a skin grid, or to get more to the point, a less precise grid and a more precise grid. I kind of like to have my objects on like a more precise grid. That's just my style. Your style might be different, but that's why when we created this, we're going to edit this project, when we created this layer, we said it was a 10 by 10 grid. So 10 by 10 is smaller. Each of those boxes is 10 by 10. Smaller than 20 by 20. That's all there is to it, really. So let's just move Princess Damalot around a little bit. Let's have her start like exactly in the doorway. What you want to do is, before you move something, usually the best thing to do is select it. You'll notice when you click on here, it says like 1, 2, 3. If you just push the number key, it will choose that tool for you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hopefully you're looking in the upper right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's do this. Whoa. Well, we can't resize that window, can we? No. But you get the idea. So press 3 to change to that. That tool selects. It lets you pick what objects you want to move around or what entities, and then click 4. And then that lets you just drag it around. You can put Princess Damalot. Well, this is where the treasure box is going to be, so I'll put her there. Put her there. Awesome. Okay. Again, you will notice something very interesting, which is like this grid point right here. Okay, if you see where my mouse is, exactly here in between her feet, that is her origin. And so that's like kind of something to be aware of, is that is actually the spot, that is the point that she is on. Okay, and so like in your game, if you just set her origin differently, she's going to be moved around a little bit more. I don't think that you really need to worry about that too much. Just put her where she looks like she should be. Hopefully you know how origins work in terms of a game engine. You know, if you don't, then you should read about it, and it might save you some trouble later on, because it solves a lot of problems elegantly. Oh gosh, this tutorial business, man, it's sure easy to ramble, isn't it? Okay, let's go back and just get our other objects hammered out here real quick. Remember that we actually scaled her down from where we originally had her, so I'm gonna copy her back so that I can see. I like to keep like a sheet with all my sprites on it, or all my stuff, my objects, whatever graphics I'm doing, because it lets me see like how big they are going to be relative to each other. And so as a result, you know, it just saves me time, because I'm like, oh, how big should this be? It should menace her. I think that's fairly menacing. Fairly menacing, but it doesn't look like silly either. So that's going to be our serpent. Okay, oops. GIMP is great, but it is very sort of complicated in how it works. but I definitely am not saying anything negative about GIMP because I use it for everything, and I kind of love it. Okay, again, I'm going to really recommend that you face everything in the same darn direction, okay? That is just a good policy. Don't have some stuff facing left and some stuff facing right. Make it all face the same way. I like to make it face right. Even if I originally draw it facing left, I flip it. So again, serpent, 0, 1, icon. Whatever the graphics in the actual game are going to be, we'll get to that later, you know, but right now, serpent. And again, we'll just make a mental note. So it's 50 by 87 pixels. I'm reading this off here, by the way. If you use a different program, you'll have to figure out how you want to read it off. Project, edit project, entities, create, serpent. How big was that again? 50 by 87. 50 by 87. You will notice I'm not like a purist that everything should be a power of 2 or whatever. I'm like, that sometimes makes sense, but only in the 1980s. 25 by 76 will make the origin. Again, he doesn't really have feet, but if he were to have feet, it would be where his body enters the water, just sort of the way we've drawn him. Image file, browse, images, serpent icon, apply, voila. Okay, again, it's given us a new level. I'm just going to go ahead and add the last object, which is our thing, and then we can like end our tutorial here. Treasure box. Okay, Princess Stamelot is find the treasure. Treasure. I like a treasure box to be kind of small. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool if you're like, oh, it looks about appropriate size for how big she is and stuff. So click on that. I'm leaving a little space up top because I could imagine drawing 2 frames of animation here where one frame has it open. Again, it's kind of facing to the left. Make it face to the right. Save this as T-box icon. Okay. Now where's the footprint, or where's the center point on this? I think it would be like about here. Like if you can imagine the bottom of the box being here, maybe the origin is about there. Another way you could do it is just like always pick the very bottom of it, but I sort of like it better to be in the middle. Again, the reasons for that get more into like how you're programming your game engine, and that's a little outside the scope of this already rambling thing. So 15 by 21, 15 and 21 is sort of where that origin is, but I will have forgotten that by the time I get there. Edit project entity. Of course, you don't have to like each time close this down. You can add as many entities as you want. T-box, and it is, how big is it? 30 by 29. 30 by, and honestly, like, yeah, it's like 30 by 29. Yeah, I should probably make that 30 by 30. Like, it would be simpler. So we'll call this 16 by 22 is the footprint. So yeah, I mean, maybe not everything needs to be a power of 2 when you're making your sprites or whatever, but you could at least maybe like not make them like prime numbers or whatever. 29 is actually a prime number, I believe. Okay, apply. Okay, so now we have all of the objects we originally wanted on here. So we're going to just open our test level back up. Objects, we're just going to slam these puppies down. Oh yeah, that looks so good there. Okay, treasure box, serpent. Ooh. I'm going to put the serpent menacing like here. And again, you'll notice this grid point is like, that lines up with where the footprint or where the origin is of this creature. And so another one can be here, because I just kind of want Princess Damelot to like see that this, maybe just see that this could be hanging out here first. Okay, so there we have it. I mean, already we have a serious contender for Ludum Dare 64, right? So you could probably enter it just like this and maybe come in 400th overall. I don't know. It's pretty something. It's something for sure. All right, so let's end this particular tutorial here. We now have a level with walls and water, and we got like a sea serpent, Princess Damalot, and a tea box. We're gonna come back and do more stuff with these objects a little bit later on. But the next tutorial, I'm gonna show you how to do tiles, because tiles are, I don't know, they are the industry standard for two-dimensional visual computer entertainment. All right, so that is, whoops, you can see fraps, whoops. Let's talk about objects. Recap. No, let's not do this. All right, 3, 2, 1, beep.